Solari, in which way Neo-Thomism influences the born of Roman social economy, and which are the differences between social economy and the neo-marginalist theory, economic thought by Warras and the others?
Social economy already existed when Neo-Thomism began to develop. The name social economy was attributed to some studies to distinguish them from political economy, because political economy was the point of view of the policy maker, more or less. So it was more a kind of aggregated perspective, while social economy focused on society, on serious society, we will say today, but we'll say in a perspective of how society works in economic terms. So this was a label used to differentiate this kind of studies from political economy. And we already had some studies in social economy as Sismondi, and the same Varra wrote something on social economy. And however, we should also say that some Roman Catholic social economy began in 1830, in the 30s, thanks to the coup, Villeneuve-Bergement, and this kind of French scholars, anticipating in the birth of Neo-Thomism, or the framework, the philosophical framework. So there was a need from the Catholic scholars to develop a view in political economy alternative to the liberal official, the mainstream of the time, it was Say or Adam Smith or Ricardo or Malthus, so on. So these scholars had perceived this need to change the scientific perspective. So we had this different development in France, where we had first some economists developing a Catholic perspective on economics, while in Italy, maybe also because development came later, maybe because the church was more important in the organization of society, happened that first we had this philosophical development, and then we had the economists, because Giuseppe Toniolo arrives into our story in the 70s, 1870s, and most of his work in this tradition is in the 80s. So it is late compared to the French, and already enjoys to this philosophy elaborated by Tapparelli and Liberatore. So what happens is that the idea of the Catholic scholar was that of founding a theory of society, first of all based on the law, on the natural law that is a moral law. And so the idea was that of embedding the economy on natural law and morals, and developing an ethical theory out of this kind of interaction. Of course, when the Neo-Thomistic philosophy reached a certain stabilization, or certain clear framework, of course, everything assumed a different shape, because the natural proliferation and differences of trajectories, etc., came to a synthesis. So in Roman Catholic religion, of course, we have much freedom to develop our ideas, but at a certain point we have the hierarchy which tend to select out the right perspective on this subject. So this is also what happened in Catholic social economy, that in a certain sense adopted the perspective of the social economy because it was grounded on a kind of bottom-up view on the laws of society as a social law, as something emerging from social interaction, and so it gave the primacy to civil society, and so it was an economy built on civil society. It was in this way it was called social economy. And then by the end of the 18th century it became more organized and organic, and the differences of approach were a little bit reduced. And this Catholic social economy adopted a different perspective compared to the mainstream of the time, and that was more evident when marginalism was born, with Barras or Mengers and so on, because it didn't focus much on the individual decision, but it focused more on mechanism of interaction and institution. So the order was the main concern, and from Aristotle they found in Nicomachean and Justice this kind of mechanism of interaction, which has exchange, reciprocity, and rationing, which later have been elaborated by other scholars also outside this tradition, as Polanyi and Weber and so on. But this mechanism of exchange were the main bricks constituting the construction and the analysis of the economic system. So it was not much the individual, the focus of the attention and its rationality, as it was the mechanism of interaction and the institutions that shape social interaction. So this is a kind of organic approach on society. And of course, also the moral embedding of social economy allowed to adopt a perspective which was not the consequentialist kind of evaluation, ethical evaluation of mainstream economics, and it favored a more differentiated kind of ethics, in the sense that, of course, there's virtue ethics, which is fundamental in Aristotle and Thomas, but actually you can find also in Thomas, but also in the economists of the 18th century, a differentiated kind of ethical approach to our issues. So social economy includes many different kind of ethical reasoning inside the economic reason.